Hi, I'm Michael Bamberger with Sports Illustrated. You're here in the historic Time Life building where Mad Men's been shot on a number of occasions. And I'm here today with Ted Bishop, the president of the PGA of America, one of the owners of Legends Golf Club in Franklin, Indiana. A man who's had a very interesting year in golf this year, and we look forward to hearing more about it. Ted, great to have you here today.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me with you.
In 2012 and 2013, one of the pleasures of my year is getting to know you because you are one of the game's original thinkers, and it showed up time and time again. There's so many things that we could start with, but why don't we start with this initiative to bring the PGA Championship, one of the great four championships of the world, overseas. That caught people by surprise. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but tell us how that came about and where you'd like to go.
Michael, I really would have to give the full credit to Pete Bavacqua, our Chief Executive Officer at the PGA of America. And when he first approached me with it, I thought, well, I don't know. I mean, this is the PGA of America. Why would we not play our championship in the United States? But you know, the more you think about it and the more globalization that you see with all the professional sports, you know, it really makes a lot of sense. So quite simply, I mean, we are just in the exploratory stages of this. It is nothing more than a concept at this point in time, but we're going to take a real deep dive into it. And, you know, I think it's something that we'll seriously look at. And quite honestly, I would be surprised if the middle of the next decade we don't do it.
I think it's great. Give me your wish list. Where would you want to go?
You know, that's a great question. I think that, you know, the first time you do this, you want to make sure that it's in a market that is accessible, that doesn't create a lot of challenges, one that, you know, supports golf. And, you know, I'll tell you a place that I'd like to see us look at first might be Ireland.
Wow, interesting. You know, Ireland hasn't had a major championship forever, except for that one British Open. Of course, that was in the north anyhow. How wonderful would that be? And of course, there's a close tie between the PGA of America and Ireland. I mean, a lot of American golf, people always talk about Scottish golf, but a lot of American golf is really rooted in Ireland more than anywhere in the world because they have fun playing golf, and I think we seek to have fun playing golf.
You know, they do, but I'll tell you one thing that's kind of interesting. You know, I played in the media day with Rory McIlroy at Oak Hill. And,
right, I remember you said he played well that day.
He did, and I don't know, we were on the third or fourth hole, and this was kind of when we were still in the, you know, discussion stages, Bavacqua and I, about this whole thing. And I thought, you know, I'm going to ask McIlroy, and I'm going to see what his opinion would be. And I kind of approached it to him in the light of, I said, Rory, how would you feel about a PGA championship, you know, being played in Ireland someday? You know, and he looked at me and he's like, why would you do that? And I said, well, why wouldn't we do it? And so we had kind of had a conversation about it, and he said, you know, I got to be honest with you. He said, you know, I have to think about that. He said, I love the PGA Championship because of the type of golf courses you play. He said, this one here is an example. They're traditional in their design. The course setup is great. And he said, you know, you're going to struggle to find those same kinds of golf courses if you move it out of the United States because, you know, those are classic courses you play. And so I thought that was an interesting initial reaction from a player.
Yeah, particularly since you go to some of the great seaside courses in the world. I mean, how cool would it be to play the PGA Championship on a seaside True Links golf course? Ted, I can tell this to you because I think you've become a friend over the past year here. So one thing that really annoys me about you is how well you write. I mean, as a professional writer, I don't like it when the AMs start writing well. I mean, maybe like playing in a pro-am, it's like David Abel is Nick Price's manager, and on any given day, he can beat Nick Price. I don't think Nick Price likes that. I think he wants to beat his manager. But anyway, you've written some really insightful things, and this is one about Tiger Woods. It's actually one of the most insightful things about Woods I've ever read. So if you'd be kind enough, this is from a blog that Ted writes called
One Shot at a Time.
One Shot at a Time. This is, you're flying over to Wales for the 2010 Ryder Cup, and you're about to get on a plane, probably leaving Atlanta.
Yeah, we are. We're at the team hotel at the Atlanta airport, waiting on all the players to arrive. And Wood showed up about 30 minutes before departure last night wearing a black Nike warm-up. He had a baseball cap and a black Nike athletic shoes on. He slipped into a seat next to Overton, Jeff Overton, who was engrossed in a conversation with his back turned. Tiger tapped him on the shoulder and placed his face nose to nose with Overton. When he turned around, he about fell out of his chair and spontaneously responded, "It's Tiger Woods." And that brought the whole place down. And what precipitated that whole thing was Jeff Overton had made a comment when he had been named to the Ryder Cup team that the thing that he was looking forward to most was getting to know Tiger Woods, because even though he had played on the tour, he and Woods had never played a practice round together.
Right.
They'd never played a competitive round together, and that's what precipitated that whole deal.
Well, I think it's great because, you know, we who cover Tiger Woods, we never get to see a real human moment like that. And it's a little edgy on your part because Tiger's not accustomed to people writing about him in any sort of way with any real candor. We've talked about this before. And even though it's totally innocent, you actually revealed a nice little moment in his life that really made me see a human side to him that I'd never seen before. Do you want to read this next little part where he's dealing with his little junior minions and how Woods deals with them?
Once on the plane, I was seated next to Bubba Watson and right behind Ricky Fowler and Dustin Johnson. A row in front of them was Tiger. The world's #1 was engrossed in a numbers version of crossword puzzles. He soon got Watson, Johnson, and Fowler engaged in the game, and they played for several hours. It was almost like a teacher giving his students something to get them calmed down. You know, and this was one of those Sudoku puzzles, and you know, the thing that was funny is, you know, he initially tore a page out of the book. These guys took the page, they sat down, they did it. When they got done with the puzzle, they walked over, they showed it to Tiger for his approval.
Right.
He'd take another page out, he would hand it to them, and they'd go back and they'd sit down and they would do that. And finally, at some point in time, after they'd done 2 or 3 of those, they calmed down and they went to sleep. So it was almost a page out of being in kindergarten.
Yeah, yeah. It shows a leadership role in Tiger that you wouldn't necessarily see in sort of an elder statesman role, and this is already 3 years ago. Now you had a moment of, I think, incredible clarity when you decided to name Tom Watson as a Ryder Cup captain. Watson famously, or maybe not famously, but people who know a little bit about the truth about the relationship between Watson and Woods, to not sugarcoat it anyway, they're not close at all. They couldn't be more different. I'm sure each respects the other's ability and accomplishments in golf tremendously, but on a personal level, there's really close to nothing there. It's not going to be talked about much by those two, but you have some insight into it. How do you think they're going to handle the fact that that Tiger Woods will almost surely play for Tom Watson next year at the Ryder Cup?
Well, I think the thing that Tiger Woods and Tom Watson share in common is the fact they both want to win the Ryder Cup. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, I don't think that you have to be on a team and necessarily be best pals mm-hmm. with everybody that's on that team. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just the way that teams are made up. But I do get the feeling that they each care, you know, about the relationship that they have with the other person. Mm-hmm. And I can speak more for Tom Watson probably than I can Tiger Woods, because I haven't talked to Tiger Woods so much about Tom Watson as maybe I have Tom Watson about Tiger Woods. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think you know, Tom realizes the importance of having Tiger on the team, mm-hmm. The importance of Tiger playing well, the importance mm-hmm. of putting Tiger in an environment where he's able to succeed and mm-hmm. perform. And I think Tom will go out of his way to do that. And you know, I think he'll seek Tiger's input, and you know, I really don't see any issues. It's all about going over there and winning the Ryder Cup.
You had almost all our viewers will know this, a very contentious year over the issue of anchored putting, and there's a lot that we could talk about that. But let's just start here. Is it over in your mind? Is it is a battle that could be fought another day? What's your overall view about where we stand? We know in 2016 it's going to be incorporated. You're smiling slightly. Where's this thing going, or is it over in your mind?
No, I think you know, there's no question the ruling aspect of anchoring is over with. I mean, the USGA and the R&A have decided they're going to proceed, you know, with the adoption of the rule in January of 2016. The PGA Tour and the PGA of America were kind of lockstep at the end of the comment period on what our thoughts were. From the PGA of America's standpoint, I think we could have been open-minded to possibly playing by a second set of rules. But we're not in the rules writing business, and when the PGA Tour made the decision, you know, not to compose another set of rules, then that pretty much dictated the direction that we felt like we needed to head in. Now, that being said, you know, we have appealed to the USGA to consider grandfathering amateurs in to some later date, similar to what they did with the Groove situation. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's 2024, maybe that's 2030. And I think, Michael, that would do two things. That would give this older generation of players who are anchoring, maybe some older individuals who have got a problem with tremors, mm-hmm. who just can't play, you know, without anchoring, a chance to to possibly phase out of their careers. And I also think that it'll send the appropriate message that the USGA wants to send to junior players or younger players that this is not going to be an approved long-term method of putting, so there's no reason to even start or thinking about, doing any kind of a conversion, in that regard. So, we're going to go in next winter and we're going to address, we being the PGA of America and the PGA Tour, we're going to address the USGA Executive Committee and we're going to appeal to them to grandfather the amateurs into some later date. Whether or not they do, well, it remains to be seen.
Now, your own internal polling, somewhat informal but still significant, showed that a sizable portion of your PGA of America professionals, 27,000 men and women, as you often say, support anchored putting. As you know, as you see it, legends every day, your golf club in Franklin, Indiana, people play casual golf for the most part. What do you think on a realistic day-to-day basis is going to happen?
For most people that play the game, in the United States today, we have roughly 26 million players. And only 5.1 million of those 26 million actually have a handicap. So you've got 80% of the golf population that are out there playing for fun right now that are probably not playing by the same set of rules that you and I do. So quite honestly, as a PGA professional, it doesn't make any difference to me what those people do. But those 5.1 million that have handicaps, that's where the trick lies. And if somebody is going to go out and play with an anchored putter and they're going to post scores for handicap, then theoretically, those scores, really shouldn't count for handicapping purposes. And if you do that, and let's just say that you decide you want to go play in a member guest somewhere, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to use the long putter. I'll concede the fact that I'll use my short putter when I go play in that competition. But the problem is, you got a handicap that doesn't match up with the way you've been playing. It's really an invalid handicap. So, we've got that issue. When I run my Saturday morning men's club, and I've got 24 to 32, guys that are playing every weekend. What about the 2 or 3 guys that are playing now? I mean, I could probably poll my men's club and they'd probably say, let them play. They're good guys. We don't care. But, you really can't do that.
Tell our viewers about the nature of power in the game today, because the ordinary golfer doesn't think about it, and yet it influences their everyday golfing life. But almost everybody knows there are 3 main golf organizations in the United States: the USGA, the PGA of America, and the PGA Tour. Tell us about what you've learned. At one point, it looked like the PGA Tour and the PGA of America were really on the same page here, and it might be enough to stop the movement. But at the end of the day, that didn't happen. And really, much like Washington politics, there's a power struggle between these 3 groups, which is sort of a shame for our game because it's not really what we need right now, but as they say, it is what it is. But explain to us where the power lies in the game right now, because we were talking earlier that the PGA Tour really is the most influential, maybe, organization of those 3, and yet what they said they wanted and what actually happened are 2 different things. So explain how that all shakes out.
Right. I think the job responsibilities of promoting the game have been divided into 3 areas. We've said to the United States Golf Association since 1894, you're going to be in charge of making the rules of golf that we're going to play by in this country, and you're going to govern, how the sport is played. The PGA of America, which was founded in 1916, is going to be your job to create players, to run golf courses, to teach people how to play the game, and you're going to be the tangible connection to the game for the rank and file amateurs that are at golf courses all over the United States. And then, and really, by today's standards, then in 1968, the PGA Tour shows up, and these are professional golfers. These are what I would call the visionary, tangible part of the game. These are what people see every week, when they turn on the TV and watch golf, and you cannot diminish the role that the PGA Tour plays in promoting the game, just by what they do every week. So I think there is this feeling of collaboration among those 3 groups that you've said, where we all think we have an important role in the sport, and I think we all respect what each other's role is. And I've used this analogy with the PGA and the USGA a lot this year. If you look at when we were founded in 1916 and you say that's 97 years ago, we've had this 97-year marriage with the United States Golf Association. And like any marriage, you're going to have some years that are going to be better than other years. And this probably hasn't been the best year of our marriage. But when it's all said and done, I think all the groups respect and recognize the important role that we each play in the sport today. And I think that's why, we said, hey, is anchoring worth falling on the sword to basically disrupt that whole situation? Now, that being said, I think when rules are legislated that affect the business of the game and the growth of the game, that's not a good thing based on where we are with the sport today. And I think that was the message that at the end of the day, the PGA of America and the PGA Tour said to the USGA is that, look, going forward, we want to be in on the front end of the rules composition. We want to be in on the beginning stages of the discussions because we want to be able to make sure that you have got all the facts, you've got all the ideas and the things in mind from our perspective that might dictate what the impact of a rules change is going to be, so we don't go down this road again. And so I do think we've had some success in changing how rules are going to be done in the future.
The crown jewel of the PGA season, of course, is the PGA Championship. Played this year at historic Oak Hill. It was a great championship, won by Jason Duffner. But on the eve of the championship, the USGA used that moment to announce that the US Open would go from NBC, where it's been for years and years, to Fox. A lot of people wondered about the timing of that, whether it was flat out an insult to the 27,000 men and women of the PGA of America. What was your emotional response right there? I'm taking you back to that day in August. What was your emotional response that morning? And I'm watching your face here.
Well, I was very disappointed at the timing of the announcement. It actually came at 6 o'clock Eastern time, roughly. It was
on a Wednesday night?
On a Wednesday night. It was the night that we were going to honor Lee Trevino as our Distinguished Service Award winner. And it was disappointing, to say the least. And I think that I would equate it to the difference in how we made our announcement when we extended our Ryder Cup television rights with NBC and the Golf Channel. I mean, basically, we had the deal done probably 3 or 4 weeks before we made the announcement. And we were looking at various things that were being played, in the golf schedule. And it would have been far more convenient for us to have made that announcement during the week of the President's Cup than when we did. But, out of respect to the PGA Tour and what was going on, we decided, not to make the announcement at that point in time. So I think that, at least from the PGA of America's standpoint, we were able to control the message, we were able to control the timing of the message, and we were able to do it, in such a fashion that it didn't disrupt or show disrespect to any other entity in golf. And the only thing I would say, quite frankly, about the US Open, Fox announcement was, I don't think that they would have made that same announcement on the Wednesday prior to the start of the Masters.
Ted, thank you for all of that. Thanks for being here. It's
My
always a
pleasure
pleasure to be with you, Ted.
Thank you.
You be well. Michael Bamberger from Sports Illustrated here with Ted Bishop. Thanks for watching.